Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome to another guide on the one, the only Onigashima Zoro. Homeboy is a unit who thrives at being low HP and also getting the color advantage on his opponent and destroying them from there. So, without a doubt, let's start diving into it. If you guys would like to check out my Twitch, Twitter, and Discord, the links are down below. I would truly appreciate it. But if not, well, let's just get into it. Let's start with our Zoro stat build. What should you build when you're building out your medals? I'll get into the medal recommendations later on at the end of the video. If you just want to skip to that tag, go ahead and do that. But for me right now, we're going to focus on probably attack. Zoro is an excellent unit. Obviously, attackers generally do build attack. I think honestly every class needs to build attack at this point because even defenders, the ones that are supposed to be supportive, aren't that great at it. So attack for sure if you're building and only working with 14%. If you have the capability to get a hold of 18% traits, for those of you who are newer, you get those through challenge battle and you get those from there, or special events. Throw your 18% on your attack and then get as many as you can for HP. The meta is all ignore defense, especially with the gear 5s, and they ignore walls and do all of that. So if you can stack HP, you have plenty of damage reduction on Zoro. So attack HP is generally the way to go. I think previously in the old meta, defense was actually pretty solid, but not anymore. There's too many things that ignore defense. So definitely get as much HP as you can. If you can get full 70% attack and HP, I would go with that. And if you can stack some flat HPs on top of that, you're probably fine. Or if you want the flat attacks, that it will work as well. Alright, now we're going to talk about the pros for EX Onigashima Zoro. What makes him so good and what makes him so strong? Honestly, I didn't think he was anything crazy. He was always a very kind of balanced, quote, balanced, because there is no balance in this game, version of a unit, especially an EX, when he first came out, because a lot of the units that were already out kind of didn't struggle to fight him. So now we actually have a lot more units that are weaker to him, and he can actually thrive. So things like Gear 5, I'll actually get into the people who counters later, so we'll hold off on that. But what makes him strong in general? He is great in the current meta. With all the units, you have Gear 5s, you have Shankses, you have Rogers, you have a bunch of people who will get shredded by Zoro. Goes a long way. On top of that, he counters just many of those people that are played in there. So when you are going to go into a game, you're going to log on and be playing against several units that you are strong against, especially since there's several matches that are like 4 Gear 5 Luffy's. You'll be able to kind of thrive. Obviously, you're not immune to shock, so that might hurt you, but be careful with that. Another thing that makes you strong is your revive. You have kind of 2 lives, and you can sustain back up even if you lose that 1 life. So you have plenty of damage reduction. You're meant to be low HP. You thrive off that. On top of this, you have excellent mobility. With your skills being such short cooldowns, you have a skill that dashes across the map really far. I believe it's your skill 1 that slices across and covers a much distance and can do knockbacks, and you're invincible during it as well. So you have a lot of things going for that as well. On top of that, you have a steady source of DPS. A lot of units are very one-shotty and wait till their skills come back up and do some more one-shotting. He is very much kind of steady DPS. He can keep slicing and kind of shred some people down. So if they're super tanky, he eventually can kind of wither them down. He actually thrives against a lot of fishermen like this and people who can't specifically CC him. AKA, if you don't know what CC is, it means crowd control, basically stun, candy, any of that stuff, even though he doesn't need to stun. But stuff like that prevents him from moving, basically is what that means. So he has a lot of things going for him. Zoro's actually a phenomenal unit. He's not overwhelming. He is definitely counterable, but I think he's a very solid unit and is a very good unit to max out and pick up at this current meta. Alright, let's talk about some cons with the new raid Zoro. He's actually not that new. He's almost a year old now. Anyways, what is his weaknesses? I like this design from this character because a lot of his weaknesses come from just kind of skill matchups and whether the enemy team kind of messes up. So you don't really have that much damage if you do not get your color advantage. So you need to watch out for that. You need to utilize your skill 2 appropriately and hope you can get that transformation into the color advantage. If you're already starting with the color advantage, aka fighting a green unit, then you're golden and you're set to go. So you'll probably demolish the enemy that you're fighting, whoever that may be. Next, a lot of your kit revolves around being lower HP on top of the color advantage. So you have to get the enemy to mess up and hit you to change your color. On top of that, you also get most of your buffs and most of your extra damage increases and whatnot from being lower HP. This can be, it's both good and bad. Obviously, you have a lot of damage reduction being lower HP, but there's some things that kind of revolve around. Like, someone can easily one-shot you. If someone's going in with more damage reduction, they're going to one-shot you, and they're going to take care of that low HP. So it's kind of like you're riding on the edge, so anyone can come and kill you at any point in time. You are fairly tanky. Mostly defenders is the ones you won't have to worry too much about, but other attackers are kind of dangerous, and you need to watch out for them when you're fighting them. Lastly, is you are vulnerable to status effects, as I was saying earlier. So anything from like Petrify from Boa Hancock to Candy from Charlotte Prospero and even like Tremor from Whitebeard. So things like that can stop you in your tracks and demolish you, and can actually take away all of your health bar, even through your revive. So if you are still tremored or candied, you'll lose your revive, get your little bit of 15% health back, and then all of a sudden lose the rest of your HP again because you'll still be CC'd. You don't get knocked down or saved when you would have died. So that's kind of some bummers. But anyways, he still has a lot of his pros do kind of outweigh his cons, so he's still actually a phenomenal unit. All right, now let's talk about some characters that you counter. Obviously, as I said earlier, you will thrive in the current meta, so who do you beat that is in this meta? Well, first one's first is Gear 5. They're everywhere, everywhere. Smashes, rats, they will not stop multiplying. So you're going to be fighting Gear 5 for an awfully long time, at least for the next, like, 3 to 4 months. So Zoro is phenomenal. I think it takes about 6 months to max an EX on the treadmill alone. So if you're not putting 4-star fragments into them, you can max them in 6 months from a level 60, I believe. Actually, that's from level 80. So maybe a little bit on top of that. So I would recommend using your 4-star fragments into him if you're trying to max him sooner. If not, if you don't find them worth it, that's fine too. You can slow and steady max him, because I think he'll actually kind of last throughout different metas. On top of that, besides Gear 5, the reason why you're good against Gear 5, by the way, is because you have percentage damage when you slice 4 hits within 3 seconds. And then on top of that, you have when you perfect dodge, you can slice for 20% HP. So his defense buff doesn't really matter. And you already have color advantage, so you already do large amounts of damage. Next, Shanks. You are built and geared towards countering Film Red Shanks. You should be winning that battle. I've seen Shankses win the battles, but for the most part, you should be winning against Shanks. And not toying on top of the anime and the whole memes that they say about Zoro, but Zoro does tend to counter a lot of the fishmen. So people like Jinbei, people like Neptune, people like Cody Jones, Zoro does kind of destroy, because a lot of their damage goes based off devil fruits, and so they can't really fight back against Zoro. And Zoro's too tanky in order for them to kill, so he basically can annihilate any fishman, I would say. That Jinbei's probably the one who would struggle against most, but honestly, he wouldn't even really be struggling. And if you get the color advantage against him, it's game over in GG. So, Fishman, he does not have any problem with. Not meaning to be a joke. On top of that, tanky defenders who don't have that much damage to fight back. So someone like a Charlotte Brûlée, anyone who's meant to be more supportive and not like any kind of damage of a defender, Zoro actually annihilates, because he is too tanky for them to kill, and he has much more sustain. He does heal from doing those percentage damages, aka hitting 4 times within 3 seconds, and he also has that revive, which just makes him last even longer. So even if you're about to outplay him, he can also just come back and revive and kill you back again. Plus, he has all the invincibility going on top of that. Alright, now let's talk about who counters you and who is problematic. This first one I want to emphasize, because a lot of people think that they do destroy this, and some of you may fight me on this, but Big Mom Olin, the Red Defender, you can kill her. I'm not going to say it's impossible, but if you are aflamed, do not bother trying to attack her, because if she has valid support or equal support with you, she's not going to struggle. You will heal her. She out heals your damage that you have on Zoro. As I said, he is steady DPS, and she is steady heals if she can aflame you. So if she attacks you and you're aflamed, don't bother attacking her. Just try and stand away and get your skills and kind of stand outside of her treasure until you're ready to go and hit her with your skills. Even if you get the color change against her, you still cannot kill her if she plays it right. If the Big Mom is smart, she will always win it. That's just a fact. You almost stand no chance of winning it. So she is the number one that I'm going to put as kind of your counter, because you're not going to go take the flag from her. Even if you do happen to kill her, you're still going to go and take 150% flag cap, which is going to take you a very long time. Next up, Charlotte Prospero. Homeboy, he only has to get your invincibility out and make sure you don't have your dodge, and he can just candyfy you, and he'll just be able to kill you from there. Through your revive, as I was saying earlier, the status effects do hurt you tremendously. So Charlotte Prospero is someone else you need to watch out for, even if you have the color advantage. Next up, Boa Hancock. She can petrify you. The runner is not as big of a threat. There is the attacker one. You probably won't see that one ever, but the runner, Stampede Blue Boa, she can petrify you, and then she can actually take a lot of your HP. She doesn't have the most damage to kill you, but she can actually wither you down a good amount, and she actually can kill you, but usually it'll take her a very long time to do that. So just watch out for her petrification. You probably won't fight too many of them, because it's a lot of Luffy's in the meta, so most people won't be playing Boa, so you shouldn't have to worry too much about this one. Lastly, on top of that is anti-healers. There is the Kid Law EX unit who can win against you, especially when they anti-heal you. That's the main point, is when they transform into Law and they anti-heal you, just watch out when they are Law. His invincibility skill, his skill 2, with the big pillar, it's the Wet Willy skill, can actually demolish you. So watch out for that when you're fighting Kid Law. Other than that, you should be able to fight him and actually win against him because he does have defense buffs, but you do percentage damage. So you should be fine with that when fighting against Kid Law. So just in general, the main point is anti-heal. Be careful of that because you won't get your revive. If you are anti-healed, you'll just die. Alright, lastly, I want to talk about the medal recommendations that I would put for Zoro. For those of you who watched my Sanji guide, you'll notice this looks the exact same, actually, because they are kind of the same type of playstyle and kind of same type of character. They're both color changers, they revolve around being the color advantage, and they have a lot going for them as such. Now, they both kind of have short cooldowns. In general, let's go over these medals. They're all based off damage increase. Now, you have other options, like doing damage reduction. You could build cooldown reduction on either skill 1s or skill 2s. You have very short cooldowns as Zoro, so you don't need to worry about building cooldown reduction on your medals because you're already going to have very short cooldowns built into your traits. So that's not really worth building. You could build damage reduction, but the only damage reductions that are worth building are based off being higher than 70% HP. So really those aren't worth. There are ones that are good for being below 50% HP, but there's not really good base medals, so they don't really fit into any good triple sets very well compared to the ones that I have on my screen right now. So what does that leave us with? Just general damage increase. I would just go damage increase. It'll help you kill things. You're going to be sitting on the enemy flag. You're going to be trying to kill things anyways. It's going to work for you in a better bet. And since you can't really build an attack buff, damage increase is really the only thing that you can actually have. Attack buffs are based off character traits. You cannot build them on any medal sets, so just let that be known. So, overall, our first one, we have the high damage increase from the Dressrosa Luffy set. If you have that event Lucy medal, that's perfect. If you don't have the event Lucy medal, you can throw in the Dressrosa Zoro medal. Fits phenomenally in that and actually ends up giving you a little bit more damage increase if you're on the enemy flag. So you can throw that in there. We'll give you lots of tags, lots of damage increase, insane amounts. You can get up to like 20-25% damage increase, which is a big deal. Next is our Luffy set. You have those event Luffys that you have, and they're all kind of Wano Luffy based, so you can throw those in there, give you your damage increase, goes a long way as well. After that, you have the Katakuri, triple Katakuri set. If you don't have the event Katakuri set, you could fit that in with a different Charlotte family member. There are a bunch of different Charlotte family members that you can throw on there, but the triple Kata one fits like perfectly almost in. So if you have a Smoothie or a Charlotte Cracker, you could throw those ones in there as well. I do believe the Cracker one has skill 2 damage increase, so which fits perfectly for Zoro because you're always using your skill 2. So you get that 5% damage increase when using your skill 2. You could throw the Charlotte Cracker one in there if you don't have that event Kata. Will be perfect. And the last one is just a good Boa Hancock one. That one's actually phenomenal set. I know you guys, if you're an avid watcher of my guides, you'll notice that I throw these medals in there a lot because they are kind of just the best. Bounty Rush has a lot of useless medals or very niche medals that don't really fit too well, whereas these ones are actually very good and very universal for many characters. So I strongly recommend building if you do not have or not know where to go when building medals. So anyways, that is my overall medal recommendation guide for Zoro. That is my overall guide. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and let me know if you guys have anything else and any other characters that you want me to go over. I'm trying to get as many as I can, and I love y'all. So make sure you check out my Twitch, Twitter, Discord. All of those links are down below, and I love y'all. If y'all would like, follow, subscribe to the video, and share it, and hit the bell on my subscription, I would love that as well. But if not, that's fine too. Anyways, that's all I have, you guys. I'm Zoro Pros. I'm gonna be taking off. Hope you have a wonderful night, morning, evening, and I'm out. Yeah, peace, beautiful people.